Hello and welcome. You're watching the weekend edition of Left, Right and Centre. I'm Osama Shab. Another ISKON temple in Bangladesh has been vandalized and set on fire, this time in Dhaka. This incident is the latest in a series of attacks on ISKON temples in Bangladesh, with the community alleging persistent assaults and limited government action. ISKON Kolkata Vice President Radharaman Das, he in fact reported this incident on his X account, expressing concerns about the safety of Hindus in Bangladesh. The Indian government, it has condemned these ongoing attacks multiple times now, with many calling for justice and strengthened protection for religious minorities in Bangladesh. The matter is not just about the arrest of Chinmay Prabhu Das or the looting of houses and properties of minorities, but the larger conversation is around what the minorities are going through at the moment. Among many big questions, is the Bangladesh government, which removed Sheikh Hasina in a military coup, has completely changed the secular democratic character of its country? What impact can it have on the politics of South Asia, and what can India do in this particular situation? We'll try and get the reactions from our guests, but before that, let's listen in to some of the reactions.
তো এটা আজকে গত রাতে আপনার রাত 8টার দিকে এখানে কিছু দুর্বৃত্ত পিছন দিয়ে আপনার ওই যে টিনগুলো ওইখান থেকে স্ক্রু খুলে ওই দিক দিয়ে আপনার কি বলে ওই যে পেট্রোল দিয়ে অকটেন দিয়ে আগুন দিয়ে করে যেগুলো পুড়ে ফেলছে। এখানে যে আমাদের বিগ্রহ, এটা হলো লক্ষ্মী, আমাদের লক্ষ্মী দেবী, তারপর নারায়ণ, লক্ষ্মী দেবীর শাড়ি পরা ছিল, নারায়ণের ধুতি পরা ছিল, এগুলো সব পুড়ে ফেলছে। আর এই যে এখানে আপনার এই ছিল যে পর্দা ছিল টানানো পুরোটা, এগুলো সব একদম পুরো ছাই করে ফেলছে। তো ওদের আরো বড় কোনো প্ল্যান ছিল। এদের মাঝখানে এসে আবার আমার ভাইসটা একটু বের হয়েছে রাত 8টার সময় ঘর থেকে, পয়সা দুয়ারে দাঁড়াইছে, দেখে যে এখানে আগুন জ্বলতেছে। তো সাথে সাথে আইসা এগুলা জল টল দিয়ে আমরা করছি। তারপর আমাদের সবাইকে ডাকছে, ডাকার পরে তারপরে আমরা পিছনে গেলাম। যখন আমরা পিছনে গেছি তখন ওই এখানেই ছিল, মানে আমাদের সাউন্ড পাইয়া ওই দিক দিয়ে বের হয়ে চলে গেছে দুর্বৃত্তরা, মানে যারা আসছিল এটা বের হয়ে চলে গেছে। তারপরে আমরা আমাদের যে এরিয়ার সেনাবাহিনীর কর্নেল লেফটেন্যান্ট, ওনাকে ফোন দিলাম, থানাতে ফোন দিলাম। এরা আইসা বিভিন্নভাবে একটি করে থানার পুলিশ এসবি এনএসআই এরা আইসা এগুলো তদন্ত করতেছে। আমরা থানায় অলরেডি একটা মামলা করেছি। তো দেখি আমরা এখন প্রশাসনের কাছে আমাদের দাবি থাকবে যাতে এটা সুষ্ঠু তদন্ত হয়, আমরা সুষ্ঠু বিচার পাই।
Well, Bangladesh has seen a situation where minorities have been targeted for the last few months, and this has been, something that has led to outrage, has led to condemnations from across the world, from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from other places as well. But those condemnations don't seem to have had an effect at all on those who are carrying out these attacks. In fact, even today, as you know, last night, as we know, a temple, an ISKON Namhat has been, attacked in Dhaka, and the idols have been burnt completely. The idols of Radha Krishna which are there in the temple have been burnt. And this is not the first time that temples are being targeted since, former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina fled the country. This has, of course, become now something that's been happening at regular intervals, even though many of these incidents are being denied. But it is true that they've been happening, and that the Hindu community or the minority community in Bangladesh continues to be targeted by Islamic radicals, and this is something that we are seeing. Now, not only that, what else has taken place in Bangladesh? Not just this attack on this temple in ISKON, which is of course very, very shocking, but also previously temples have been attacked. But along with that, we also know that the Vice Chancellor of Premier University Chittagong has been forced to resign. Anupam Sen, who's also from the minority community, even though he's mentioned his reasons for his resignation, and those may be the reasons he's put down, there's no denying the fact that there was pressure on him from certain quarters, and that's something that could have been a factor that led to this decision. So that's another thing. But there have been cases where people have been trying to flee Bangladesh, Hindus have been trying to flee Bangladesh, or cases where their homes have been attacked. Lawyers defending Chinmay Krishna Das, who has been arrested, the Hindu monk who was organizing and getting people together to protect, minorities against these attacks, especially the Hindu community. He remains in jail, and open threats have been issued in court, in Chittagong court. There are videos of lawyers saying, and these are radicals again, that anyone who gathers the courage to defend Chinmoy Krishna Das in court or file a wakalatnama will be beaten up. That's the kind of sense of fear, insecurity, threat that minorities are facing in Bangladesh, and that's perhaps the situation that Bangladesh will have to resolve. There have been commentaries on how Bangladesh has been sinking into an abyss of hate against minorities, and that's something that perhaps the interim government will have to look at very seriously and take note of. And we have commentaries from the Chief Justice also. India has made strong statements. India has also urged Bangladesh. The Prime Minister himself has done it, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to expressed concern over what Hindus are facing. But this is something that obviously is something that perhaps it'll be something that obviously the Bangladesh interim government will have to take a more serious note of.
Now, while the anti-Hindu attacks continue in Bangladesh, what are India's options? That is the big question that we are asking. I'm currently joined by Ashok Sajjanhar, former diplomat. I'm also joined by Ayanjeet Sen, expert on Bangladesh affairs. Gentlemen, welcome to NDTV. My first question to you, Mr. Sajjanhar. Don't you think India must get more involved in respect to the conflict and these attacks in Bangladesh? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, first of all, I think whatever is happening in Bangladesh is very deplorable and needs to be condemned in the strongest terms. I think it has been done by India, but what is particularly disturbing also is that the Bangladesh authorities seem to be in total denial. I think as far as the chief executive, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, is concerned, he seems to be out of control. He doesn't seem to be having control on all these people. These are the student leaders, these are the student protesters and demonstrators who have put him in this position of, the chief advisor, head of the caretaker government. But it doesn't seem to be having, there is, seems to be lack of experience, there seems to be lack of, any previous experience of governance or administration. So, of course, there are many things that are lacking, but also what is particularly shocking is that there is not even an acceptance that these things are happening. What Dr. Muhammad Yunus has said, that this is highly exaggerated. What his information advisor seems to have stated, that, when he using such high-sounding words like industrial type disinformation going on. When this is the standard practice of shooting the messenger, because all this you can see on the TV screens, they are available that these things are happening.
True, absolutely.
But the Bangladesh government seems to be, the interim government seems to be in denial. Now, very quickly, coming to this, we have followed a graded response as we need to do as far as diplomacy is concerned. And we have been raising the ante that it is the responsibility of the caretaker government to look after its own citizens. After all, these people, they might be Hindus or Christians or Buddhists, but they are Bangladesh citizens. And it is the responsibility of the Bangladesh government to provide them security. Now, I see today is the 7th. On the 9th, we have our Foreign Secretary going to Dhaka. He should have a very candid conversation with them. India has lots of levers. I think, two neighbors, they have to have, there is interdependency. And the dependency of Bangladesh on India, I'm sure Bangladesh also realizes, is much greater than the dependency of India on Bangladesh. But of course, we would like all this to stop and Bangladesh to rise up to its own responsibility and maintain peace, security, and stability in the country.
Absolutely, and I'm pretty sure both of you understand the challenges which are there in the country, and especially Mr. Sen. There is this fear of radicalism. We are seeing this right now, and all these attacks on the minorities. Do you have any hope from the interim government in Bangladesh, or Mr. Sen, do you think they will, in a way, address this?
Well, I think Yunus is nothing but a puppet now in the hands of the student leaders in Bangladesh. And just to give you an example, tomorrow the youth wing of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party is planning to take a march to the Indian High Commission to protest against what they think is a matter of concern for them. But well, it's a dark chapter that's going on currently in Bangladesh, and it's not just Yunus, but the entire advisory team absolutely has no control over what's going on inside their country, because whatever is happening within, it's not just Dhaka, but it's in all major towns of the country, where it's nothing but it's not just hooliganism at its pitch, but also to say that they are just doing what they want in terms of not just attacks against minorities. That's definitely the prime thing, but apart from that, they have been looting and just doing whatever they can illegal, because they know there's no police to catch them. So where is Mr. Yunus there? Where's Dr. Yunus? Just getting a Nobel Prize is not enough, because at the end of the day, if you can't run the country, then either hold the elections or leave the job. As simple as that.
You know, and another point of contention is Sheikh Hasina being in India, and Mr. Sen, with the new government demanding that Sheikh Hasina must return to Bangladesh, do you think this situation will really impact the equation between the two countries?
Well, my sources in Bangladesh have told me very clearly that, if at all, if there is any chance of Sheikh Hasina coming back, well, she has, there are reports coming in saying that she's no longer going to take, even if she comes back, she's no longer going to, hold any public position for that matter. But if she's brought back to Bangladesh, which is not going to happen, of course, but one thing is for certain, that Awami League, which has exited now, of course, but there is a certain public sentiment which is growing, but it's not coming out onto the streets yet. But it's a matter of time. Maybe I don't know what amount of time, maybe a month, 2 months, or 3 months, or maybe a little more. But the prices of essential commodities are growing up, and that's one of the major reasons why common people in Bangladesh are really fed up with the current administration, and they want a change coming in very quickly for them, because and the most affected people are the people who are living in the villages and in the hill tracts areas of Bangladesh, and that's exactly what's happening currently. And I think Awami League, BNP has already said that Awami League can't contest election, and they're trying to bring about some kind of a change in the constitution to do with that. But at the end of the day, if they're talking about democracy, which Dr. Yunus has been so vocal about, then they better let all parties contest the election, and let's see who wins it.
True.
Because at the end of the day, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Sajjanar, these developments, these attacks on minorities, the regime change in Bangladesh, all of this is being read in multiple ways. Some people say that this is also an opportunity for India to, in fact, recalibrate its equation with Bangladesh. Now, with the interim government and the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina being here, do you think it is a tricky situation for India at the moment?
No, I don't think it's a tricky situation at all. Meaning, she has come to seek refuge in India, and we know that if she were to go back, there would be a danger to her life. So meaning that she asked for refuge, we have given her refuge. We have given refuge to so many people who have come from outside. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he came here in 1958. We have given him refuge. There are so many Tibetans, so many sort of refugees who have come from Afghanistan. So many people who have come. So we have given them refuge, and if Bangladesh wants her back, there is an extradition treaty between the two countries. And there are very set procedures that you apply for extradition. So please apply for extradition. It's already, we say more than 4 months have elapsed since tomorrow is going to be actually 4 months when Mr. Yunus took oath of government. And I think two objectives, what was really expected of him when he took over power was that he'll be able to establish peace and security and stability in the country. Has he been able to do that? That's a big no. There was also, this expectation that he will hold elections in the country. He's not been able to do that, and he seems to have made some statements to the effect that he might be in position for 4 years because he has set up a large number of commissions, constitutional reform commission, administration, parliament, election commission, etc. So they are expected to give their reports by January or something. After that, they will be examined what needs to be done to them. So, I think he is failing at every step. And the other point I want to make is, this is any change that takes place, there is always a honeymoon period. Mr. Yunus is very quickly running out of his honeymoon period. People are going to, you see, the economy as it is, even in the tenure of Sheikh Hasina, there, as far as inflation is concerned, foreign exchange reserves are concerned, there were problems on that. And now it is the things are going to get worse because what you see there is lawlessness on the streets. There, as far as the exports are concerned, garments which provide for 80% of the total exports, which account for about more 15 to 20% of the total GDP, that is in shambles. Although as far as India is concerned, India has not curtailed any of the intermediates and inputs that go for the production of these garments. But if there is total lawlessness, there's going to be no investment, there's going to be no orders that are going to be placed, and this is what we are seeing in the country.
Right. Mr. Sajjanar, having said that, do you think India has to be a little more vehement in raising the concerns of the minorities here? Because these attacks and the violence, it is just continuing at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, and that is exactly what I said. I think this is the first opportunity. You see, on the 8th of August, when Prime Minister Modi, he sent a message of congratulations, and soon after that, both of them spoke. One of the most important elements that Prime Minister Modi raised was the security and safety of the minorities, of the Hindus. When the Prime Minister spoke, even with Joe Biden, at the end of August, he did raise this issue. And I think we have been raising this issue at every possible opportunity. But as I said, the Bangladesh government seems to be in total denial. But the manner in which it has happened, and you see the voices that we are hearing from around the world. Yes, the first opportunity now, it will be day after tomorrow, when our foreign secretary visits Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And I think he will definitely be reading out the Riot Act to his counterpart in Bangladesh, that this has to stop. They might be doing it at the...
Absolutely.
Because we've seen that the Chinese have invited the Jamaat delegations and so on and so forth. So Bangladesh might be doing it at the instance, at the provocation of the Chinese or Pakistanis, but this has definitely to stop.
In fact, Mr. Sen, just quickly want to understand from you, how do you assess the current ties that India and Bangladesh share at the moment? Because we've always had good ties with Bangladesh, but do you feel that these attacks, there will be a change in the kind of relationship or a relationship of continuity?
Well, I think, things are going to be a little more clearer after our foreign secretary visits Bangladesh. But as of now, going by the current trends, especially the minority issue, which is definitely making the rounds, because at the end of the day, the pulse of the people, as far as India is concerned, is changing. And even, at the end of the day, radicalism is what is going on in Bangladesh currently. They are, it's not democracy in its real perspective, because the political parties themselves are resorting to whatever violence they can against the minorities. And it's pure radicalism that is right now going on in Bangladesh. And Dr. Yunus, whatever he may say in public, whatever he may say to the press, but at the end of the day, it is his utter failure to not just control the situation within his country, but at the same time, damage relation to an extent, at least get some breaks on relationship to an extent with India, because that's something which was not expected, because India has always, it's not about Sheikh Hasina, it's overall till date. It has been a good relationship all through. But what suddenly happened when Yunus took over? This is what has happened, because he is just a figurehead. That's it. The real people who are ruling the streets of Bangladesh are the hooligans, the radicals. And they are the student community primarily, which are actually doing the rounds over there. And it's their words which are being followed in letter and spirit by the people around, because those people are being forced to say what they are saying. And that's exactly what's happening on the ground in Bangladesh. And as far as India is concerned, we'll have to wait and see how things pan on after the visit of Mr. Mishri, and then let's see how things go ahead. But as of now, I would say keeping our fingers crossed to an extent as to whether, because it will take time to kind of slowly get back into action. But till Yunus doesn't, I think he has long plans though, because some are telling me that he has long plans to stay on, and somehow or the other, the political parties are putting some pressure on him to conduct the elections as soon as possible. Now that's something which is not happening currently, because there is still, he showed off a strength saying that all political parties are there with me, which in a way shows that, oh, well, I'm the ruler, and here we are trying to build up so-called a quote-unquote democracy, which I don't think exists in Bangladesh currently as we speak. Otherwise, people who are hiding now and calling up people to say, look, there's somebody who's going after me with a picture of mine saying that, look, I may be killed. If this is how the public feels in Bangladesh, I don't know where democracy is.
Absolutely, and there are a lot of unanswered questions still, and we'll have to wait and watch how things develop in Bangladesh. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of this fascinating discussions. We'll keep a track of how situation develops in Bangladesh and get you the latest.